So, so the focus of this show is on Guardians of the Galaxy, so let's start there.
Yes, proceed.
Yes, you have multiple roles in the film. People may or may not know, but you're on screen most obviously as Kraglin. So can you talk about sort of your conception of the character as the actor taking on the role, and what you did to prepare, if anything? Did you get out the stack of comic books, all that kind of stuff?
Well, Peter asked me to use my stage voice, so I will be talking like this throughout the interview. No, I'm not really going to talk like that. But to prepare for Kraglin, well, you can't really get out the stack of comic books because Kraglin is, although the name Kraglin is used in the MCU, it's just one picture of some sort of weird-looking,
it's more alien-looking
alien creature that I was very glad to not have to get into makeup to play. I think that the idea of who Kraglin is sort of was shaped over the course of filming the first movie. We experimented with some different things where he was a little bit more maniacal at times. He laughed a lot more and was seemed a little bit crazier. But I think the crazy stuff didn't work as well as the stuff that gave him more of a sort of real relationship with Yondu and a real history with Quill. And so by the second movie, I feel like a lot of those gaps were really filled in, and I understood where Kraglin was coming from an emotional perspective. Not really until the second time around. Because in the first movie, it's a lot of texture, and it's a lot of really just being on Rooker's coattails and putting myself in the mindset of I'm his first mate. I always knew that there must be some reason why Kraglin got the job. I'm certainly not ever going to be the biggest or toughest looking. So Kraglin's still the first mate after Yondu. So I think that I always had some sense that while maybe not traditionally smart, he was at least competent and was good at following orders and good at sort of watching his boss and making sure that he was doing what Yondu wanted.
Yeah. He's he's obviously taking everything in every scene.
Yeah.
In the second film, you've said that the role is expanded a bit more. Does he get more proactive as well instead of reactive?
Well, I think the movie starts only a couple of months after the first one ends, and I think that if you can understand from Kraglin's point of view that Quill did double cross them at the end of the movie. He didn't give them the orb, which they were going to make a ton of money off of. They were celebrating as a result, and then he didn't do it. But Yondu didn't seem to go right after him to try to kill him right away. And I think that Kraglin's starting to wonder sort of what's up with that. Why is this guy double crosses? I know we have a history with him, but this is kind of not seeming right. And so the movie starts from that jumping off point of I'm not sure everything is feeling great in Ravagerville. You know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. So you also, I guess you were dotted up, right, to be the physical presence for Rocket.
Right.
And is it also for Thanos? Is that right?
No. I don't get dotted up. It's a very, if you're interested in the technical differences, what I do is actually motion reference, which is, which has some subtle differences from motion capture. Motion capture, there's a digital algorithm where they change you to, where they can assist you in the visual effects. But you can only do it with humanoid-looking creatures. A raccoon is not close enough to being humanoid for them to do that. So even though they do it with a lot of digital help, they're mostly doing it from an animator's perspective of, of using the human face and changing it to a model, and then going to raccoon. So, at any rate, it's a very unusual process. It's really fun to be a part of. But yeah, a lot of the face and hands and things like that.
And so is that, would they get video reference separately, or would you be doing that kind of concurrently with the filming of those scenes?
They would do that. I would do that on set. And they would, I would just get my body to where Rocket's, it's really about Rocket's face and to some extent his hands. Other than that, the rest of me can be doing anything. They don't need, they don't need much other than that.
Right.
So I would get my face to where Rocket's face would be. Whether that means crouching way down, sometimes it's moving, it's sitting a weird way in the cockpit, and then it does two things. First of all, it provides a realistic framework for the actors who are playing the scene.
Right.
So they're actually looking at an actor, they're not looking at a blank space.
Right.
For at least one take. And then it also provides the animators with a little bit of help when they're piecing together when Rocket's looking around or when he's shaking his head or what he's doing with his hands. So it's just kind of a piece in the puzzle of making Rocket work.
And did you repeat those duties on Volume 2?
Yeah, I actually did a little more in Volume 2 because I think they found through the first movie that even in the action sequences, where Rocket's not speaking, it was still helpful to have a facial reference for some of that stuff. And it's different, even though, obviously Bradley Cooper does an awesome job acting the role, and they can use his face as well for certain times. It's not quite the same as when you have the same lighting, the same setup, and it's for the animators to have a position for what it's like when it's actually on set, I think is helpful.
All right, so I'm going to move on to talk about Gilmore Girls a little bit.
Gilmore Girls, great.
I love the show to an unreasonable degree, so I wouldn't ask you for spoilers. Nobody wants spoilers. Well, I thought maybe we would do one-word spoilers to tease it, if you can, for each of the seasons, each of the 4 episodes for Kirk. So if you could think of one word for summer.
Well, hold on. This is going to be tough because... First of all, I'm only in 3 of the 4. I'm not in all 4 of them. I'm in winter, spring, and fall. But not summer. So, one-word spoilers.
Obviously, they're all going to be something wacky that he does.
I'll give you one. So for winter, I'm going to say... entrepreneurship. For spring, I'm going to say hat.
Good.
And for fall, I'm going to say disappointment.
Well, my appetite is whetted for hijinks, maybe a little heartbreak. What is the deal with Kirk? How do you see the guy?
What is the deal with Kirk? I don't know, man. What do you think the deal is with Kirk? I like Kirk. Kirk's
everybody loves him.
I think that the best way that I can describe what's going on in Kirk's brain is that Kirk has a very, very strict interpretation of what the rules are that people are and are not supposed to follow. And if they're not following those rules, it's very confusing to him. And that's the best I can say about the frame of mind that I'm in when I'm playing the scenes. It's like, I know I'm a performer, so I'm trying to hit jokes and I'm trying to have good timing and good rhythm, but when I'm playing the scenes, I'm not thinking about trying to be funny. You know what I mean? So it's like,
he's just
from
dead
my
serious,
perspective, it's
that's what makes him.
It's a different trip going on. I mean, Kirk's a real guy to me, which in some ways is probably a lot scarier than if I was just at home, watching.
And did that evolve organically from that first guest spot as Mick, the DSL installer, or did you kind of base him a little bit on somebody that you knew who had a similar mindset?
No, it totally evolved. I never would have imagined when I did the first episode that I would be doing another one, and so and then when I did, I was literally confused. I didn't know if Amy Sherman Palladino, if she wanted me to play the exact same character, or if I was some weird sort of like variation of that character, you know. It wasn't really until the third episode that I did that I started to kind of piece together that this was really the same guy, and start to sort of build the character. But all of the clues as far as the character went were given to me by the scripts. So I started to learn who he was and play him in a certain way, and Amy started to learn who he was and write him in that way.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really wonderful. It's like that's
ideal.
Like that great collaboration between writer and performer, and we never really had to talk about it. Really, we talked about it through my performance and through her scripts. You know, is how we sort of discussed the character. So I'm very proud of that, and it's a really wonderful process. Working with great writers is like nothing else.
Yeah. IMDb claims that your nickname is The Judge. Is that true?
That is correct.
And why is that?
I'm called The Judge. Well, my brother Matt will tell you it's because I'm smug and judgmental, but I don't think that's true. I think that when I'm the youngest of 6, right? And when you want to be taken seriously as the youngest of 6, you have to develop a way of speaking where you say things with confidence and with authority as though you know them to be true. And I think it's that manner of speaking that got me the nickname The Judge. I think I tend to say things as though, since I'm saying this, it's correct.
Yeah.
That might make me annoying, I don't know, but I think it's a cool nickname and I kind of like it, so I've kept it.
Yeah. 2 more questions and I'll let you go. So,
Okay.
So you come from a large and talented family. Obviously, your brother James is the director of a number of films that you've appeared in. Do you want to throw any love and any shade in his direction in terms of what he's like to work with?
I would never throw any shade in his direction. He keeps me employed far too much for me to do that. You know, honestly, the boring and true response to how it is working with my brother is that I love working with my brother because he's incredibly good at his job, and we are both perfectionists when it comes to the work. I'm a very I'm much more of a sort of technical actor. Like I'm a technician in a way that not every actor is or should be. And I'm very methodical in my approach. He's like that as a director. He's a maniac. He's the most well-prepared director I think anyone could ever work with. And so I like the working relationship that we have together. Now, in addition to that, of course, we're brothers and we're friends, and you know, emotionally, that stuff is wonderful. But I love working with him because he's good at what he does.
And you mentioned your methodical approach. I'm just going to mention to the people here that you studied at the Goodman School of Drama, right?
Yes, I did. I studied at the Goodman School of Drama with Michael Rooker, believe it or not. Not with him. He was
right.
He's about 40 or 50 years older than me, so he was a little prior, but
yeah. All right. So the last question, in looking at your IMDb resume, I'm taking a stab in the dark here, but I suspect that you might have the strangest anecdote from working on Pearl Harbor.
Oh, the only strange anecdote I can tell you about Pearl Harbor is that I worked 2 days on the movie. I had a couple of lines. The director never introduced himself to me, which I thought was unusual. It was a fun 2 days. It was the best food I think I've ever had on a set. And I am not sure whether or not my scene was cut from the movie. I know my lines were, but I don't know if I was. I haven't seen it enough to have seen myself, but I'm really high up in the credits at the end of the movie of the names, so people think like Sean Gunn, he's like 8th in line or whatever.
In order of appearance, maybe.
Yeah, so I was like, no, I don't. I have no idea. I was happy to do it. It's a job. The check's cleared.
Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you. I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.